Hello, everybody, and welcome to Toffee Bluecast. It is an early pre-match. Normally, we do it the night before, but I know a lot of people would have got probably in trouble if they did last night on Valentine's. So I've done it early, 11 o'clock, and I know you're probably in the house now and thinking, I've got nothing to do at 11 o'clock. I'm waiting for this late Everton kickoff or waiting for other football to start if you watch other football. We've got a pre-match here for you to listen to, and it's normally cracking, so get involved. What we do to anyone new, do hit that like and subscribe, but what we do to anyone new is we look at the form of the opposition, Crystal Palace. We've got Henry on, Crystal Palace fan. And then we'll look at the form of Everton. Then we'll do a lineup prediction. I've got Henry's lineup prediction. Me and Paul will do a joint one. We want your lineups in the comments. And then we finish with score predictions. So you cannot have fun with that simple format, but it's going to be good. Let's get involved and let's do this, people. We love you, Everton. We do. Right. Paul, how are we doing, mate? After that crazy game.
I've not come down yet. I've not come down yet. I'm still. I've still been watching all the clips and everything else, liking literally everything that I've come across on X, for example, and still posting my own stuff. It's just love it. But it's also been a week where I've absolutely been feeling sick as a dog. And obviously, still the voice is not back perfectly, so it might be sexy croaky today.
Yeah, well, I've got it a little bit as well.
We got another game. I can't believe we got another game. Ridiculous.
Straight away.
Another game already.
Morning, Gary Wilson. Yeah, straight away. Straight away. Got another game. I'm looking forward to it. I forgot about it, to be fair. I'm not going to lie. I forgot about it. Normally when you have a big derby like that, you've got a bit of a break in between. It's set up for a weekend and you have a couple of days. But no, straight in for the kill. And I spoke to Henry. I went on Harry Spurs channel one time. I spoke to Henry, really good with his football talk. So we invited him on. He knows his stuff. We had some good debates and some good agreements on the show. So we've got him on, Crystal Palace fan. He's doing the catwalk down the street. How are we doing, Henry? You all right?
Yeah, I'm not bad, guys. How are you?
All good. Are you ready for this?
Good to have you.
I hope so. I'm on my way to work. So like I mentioned to you boys, if I disappear at any point, just don't worry about it. I'll be back.
Good man. So we'll have him in and out, but at least we've got a Crystal Palace fan to take part in the show with us. We'll get stuck in straight away. Do get involved in the comments. When we Spoons is in, Toffee Pezza is in. We need to hear from you, basically, just to know that it was worth going live and bringing Evertonians together. And even Crystal Palace fans, you're respectful, put your comments in and we'll have a little read and put it on the screen. Right, so let's get stuck in. Let's not mess about. Let's crack on with the show, people. So I've got here, I do the stuff for you. If you need anything before a game to know what the crack is, what's going on, and you want to see the form, and you want to see who you think is going to play, and then you want score predictions, Toff Bluecast is the place for that to be. So I'm going to chuck it on Henry first. Like you say, sometimes he'll go in and out, but this is your form memory, and I just want to say, when I was writing this up, I remember having the guy from the Eagles on the pre-match. We had him on, and we both not won a game when we played you last, and we can't win a game, and we went on to beat you, and probably didn't win many more after that. This form, I didn't realise, and no disrespect to Crystal Palace, because I've just been completely focused on Everton because we've been around the bottom. I didn't realise that you picked yourself up so much as well. This is some really good form that I was writing up here. Talk to me.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that at all. I think many non-Palace fans, if they look at kind of our form, like you've got up there, especially in the Premier League, but also in the Cup as well. I think, and then if you dive deeper, I think we haven't conceded in the first half of the game in the last 5. I think we've kept 6 or 7 clean sheets away from home or something insane like that. We've got one of the best defensive records in the league. I think I don't think any Palace fan would begrudge you for not knowing that. But I do think that your reaction makes me smile, because I think that a lot of people, if they were to look at our form, they would be like, "Oh, how are they, doing well but still 12th?" But that's our place in the table. And like you said, last time we played each other was we weren't going into that with particularly good form. Neither were you, and you took the points. But yeah, I think it should, touch wood, be a really, really cracking game this evening.
No, I could completely agree with you. I think we both, when we come to play each other, we hadn't won a game, and the form was really bad before that. So it shows when you haven't won a game, and I think that's the reason that we are where we are in the league, because you can't have that much of a bad start and then all of a sudden be top 6, top 4. But that is the sort of form where you think to yourself, like us when I put ours on in a minute, where you think to yourself, bloody hell, if we would have just started like this, we could have had a cracking season. And it is really good form. I mean, I'll just go through a couple there. Man City, really hard game. You managed to get a draw out of them. When I was writing this up, like, you've done really well. Brighton, hard game. You managed to pull a 3-1 on that one. Arsenal, that was your only really bad result. 5-1 loss, but Arsenal, decent side. Sometimes you'll have that kind of result. Bournemouth, we all know what Bournemouth are doing. You can't underestimate them anymore. That's a draw against them, which we haven't been able to do. So fair play on that. Southampton, always an hard game when you play a team at the bottom.
To be honest, with that.
No, come on. You was just going to say on that also with that. Sorry.
Just with the Arsenal game, I think it was a bit of a write-off. Obviously, we played them in the cup a couple of days earlier. It was one of those weird moments like Brighton had last night as well. You play a team back to back, and it was a weird game. I remember watching it in the pub with a lot of my football teammates that are all Arsenal fans, and it was just one of those games where everything they hit went in. I mean, Jesus scored 5 goals against us in 2 games, and then I think he's probably, if I'm not mistaken, now injured again, maybe till the end of the season. So I think that's an anomaly. But I think, like you said, getting points at Bournemouth and holding City to a draw at home, these are results that really can propel you kind of on to bet.
No, I completely agree. You wouldn't even know that you had the cup before. Sometimes it's interesting to get the information from the actual fan. Paul, talk to me on this form.
Yeah, I realised that Palace have slowly, quietly been getting on with it, and like the Man U result, obviously was a cracking one, and even the sort of the bread and butter, the games that you have against teams around you, away win West Ham, away win Leicester, beating Brighton, for example, away. So away wise, they seem pretty good. Home wise, probably a bit more of a mixed bag. Obviously Brentford aren't rubbish, but beating there. The Arsenal game is Arsenal. So, and they're just doing really well. So we're kind of similar stories, to be honest. We've managed to get a few wins in a row for us, and they've kind of got draw, win, draw, 2 wins, a loss, and so they're gradually doing it at the same kind of pace as we are. So good luck to them. They've seemed to have a decent team with no sort of superstars, although I was asked about Assar and Eze fit today, and obviously we'll talk about the team in a bit. So Palace are no easy game. No easy games in the Premiership, but definitely not against Palace.
No, they've got a really, and they picked up, like I said, it's a lot of greens at it. It's like draw, win, loss, draw, win, win, loss, win. Really, really, really good form that is. Roberto says, how come you don't do spaces? We actually do. We're planning on doing like once a week spaces, Toffee Bluecast ones where we just go on. But sometimes I do randomly go on at 1 a.m. in the morning. I'm nuts like that. Yeah. 1 a.m. spaces where we just get some randomers on and talk about Everton, and they're quite loopy. But yeah, I still do the spaces. We're looking to do a proper Toffee Bluecast one where it's going to be at a certain time every week. And we'll do one of them as well as the channel people. So, all right, you mentioned it, Paul, Everton form. I mean, you look at theirs, you look at ours, they've got a lot more green on the thing. They are more informed than us, although I'm really proud of those Davy Moyes last 4 games. Oh, that's what he's been here 5, hasn't he? Aston Villa, he didn't really do out. He just seen what it was like. Then Spurs, he implemented something on it. Then Brighton, you'd say Moyes was a big part of that. Leicester and Crystal Palace. I can't believe I put Crystal Palace 2-2. That might be the score prediction. I meant to have written Liverpool up. That's what you get when you just write it up before the show. Oh my God, I hope that's not true. But it was meant to say Liverpool. You know what I mean? It was meant to say Liverpool.
I mean,
but yeah,
how
Liverpool.
is his? Oh well.
It happens.
Never mind, mate.
But
Never mind. But we like ours to be a bit more consistent, don't we? We're good for 3 things. Good for 3 draws, 3 losses, 3 wins. So I think we like to colour ours in a little bit more organised. Palace are a bit more ad hoc, but still get some decent wins. So fair play.
Yeah, we've added a bit of rainbow colour on it. We've got the red involved for lose. We've got the orange involved for draw. We've done a nice little pattern to it. They've got a lot of green on the table. I'll chuck it on you, Henry. Obviously, people listening with Signal we're going to work with because Henry is walking to work, but we still said we'd crack and get him on. It's nice to get an opposition fan on. Henry, what do you think of our form? Because I remember speaking to you on the channel when we was talking about every team in the Premier League, and I was saying, like, I think the question is it on Daesh? Is it the players? And I think we was talking and saying, I was saying they are capable of more. They really are capable of more. Too defensive, mindset to defend before we attack. Moyes has come in for me, and he's massively got into their heads that you can attack, you can be yourself, and you don't need to worry about the opposition more than what you're thinking about what you're going to bring to the table. So, what do you think on this Moyes return? Because I think you'll probably know that Everton fans are really happy with him at the minute.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I remember when we had that conversation, and I kind of remember that every season when we play Everton, I kind of go through the season thinking Everton's team isn't that good, like individually, until we play each other and I see your lineup, and then I'm like, actually, he's a good player. He's a good player. They're all good. Like you said, to get the best out of some players, I think it's a shame for you guys with obviously Ndiaye being injured because I think he's a top player. I think Doucouré missing as well through suspension. I mean, I spoke to a couple of my mates that are Evertonians, and I mean, you take that. If you were told before the game that Doucouré would get himself sent off for going and goading the Liverpool fans after a last-minute equaliser, I think you take it. So, you know, ahead of this game particularly, we've got a lot of players back fit. So it's just whether or not Moyes can kind of get those more string players to come in to replace Ndiaye and Doucouré, and really give you something to have a go at. But I think you're a good club with a good squad and brilliant fans. And I think that, your fans definitely deserve that kind of get off your seat style football instead of just, the kind of defensive dross that we saw under Daesh.
Yeah, 100% agree. And it's just so nice now to just see our fullbacks just bomb it forward instead of hoofing it forward. And to see players getting the nut. And to see Beto given a chance. And another massive thing for me, and I put him on the cover, Jake O'Brien, I knew he was a player, and I was crying out saying, you've got to get Jake O'Brien in the squad somehow, whether it's playing 3 centre-backs or wing-backs or whether it's playing him right back. I did think it. I know people will say, oh, you would say that now, Moyes has done it. But I did think I'd play him right back because at the end of the day, when we didn't have any really good right backs, I knew he was strong, I knew he was fast, I knew he was composed on the ball. So I would have just got him in the squad in any sort of way, Jake O'Brien. And David Moyes has come in, and David Moyes has said he's a good player, I need to get him in. He's a good player and I need to get him in. It's not his position, but he'll learn his trade right back and he can eventually move to centre-back. And I do believe a big part of us doing so well is Jake O'Brien in that right-back position, because when Mikalenko bombs it forward, it's often 3 centre-backs anyway. So it allows us to be more attacking with Jake O'Brien. So I'm already... Jesper Lindstrom as well, another player that Daesh wasn't really favouring. He's come in. Moyes has said, you are a really good player. I wanted to sign you at West Ham. You was really good before you went to Napoli. So I think he has changed it a lot, hasn't he, Paul? I'll chuck it back on And when he comes back in with a signal, they are big decisions, ain't they?
Yeah, he plays it down. But you can tell, and it might only be little things. The Jake O'Brien thing is just one player in one position, but it's made a massive difference, I think. And even the likes of Beto, confidence on the floor, DCL confidence on the floor. Beto comes in, he's the only available striker. He's all guns blazing. Him and Decore must feel on top of the world at the moment. Despite both of them maybe not being the most graceful of footballers, you cannot deny their 110% attitude. They were both immense on Wednesday, not necessarily through skill all the time, but through absolute heart and emotion and effort. They deserve all the plaudits. And so Beto's still there today. He'll still give as much as he gave on Wednesday. He'll still do all that, and he'll be up for another goal, which would be great.
Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it. Henry, I just touched on Jake O'Brien. Like I said, I wanted him in the squad. Just give me a little bit on that, and then we'll chuck a few more things on the screen.
Sorry, I think you mentioned when you were talking about Jake O'Brien, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously he was former Palace Academy. He captained our 21 side to a Premier League International Cup in the final against PSV. Obviously went to Lyon, had that brilliant loan, and I think we eventually then it triggered a buy clause, and then you guys got him, and it was an interesting signing. I mean, a lot of Palace fans were, we were looking at it. Maybe it's the one that got away. I think at the time, obviously we had Gay and Anderson, and he was never going to get minutes over those two, so it made sense to let him leave. But no, I'm enjoying watching Jake O'Brien thriving as a Premier League fullback at the moment. But I think he's another player that's going to be a really good addition to your side. And I think, as you've mentioned, he's just looked more and more comfortable the more he's played. So I think he's a top player.
No, I completely agree. I'm surprised with how good he is with his feet for a big man as well, because I knew he was strong. I knew he was fast, but I didn't think he'd be so composed with his feet. And I think that's why he suited that position, Henry, because he is really good with it. Calm, just doesn't get rid of it quick. Simple, but always does the right thing, in my opinion. Jake O'Brien. Right, we are going to crack on. Here we go. This is the Premier League table, people. Oh, I didn't even know. Another thing, it is one of them, and I'll always be on. I'll always
go on.
Sorry.
Go for.
We will have signal problems. It will be in and out, but yeah, just chucking the league table on. We'll chuck him back in and out just to get the signal right. And no disrespect to Crystal Palace, another thing that surprised me, because we was both down at the bottom, I thought we was doing okay getting up the table. But they've done even better, haven't they, Paul?
Yeah.
I mean, saying that, if we beat them, we are level on points. But for the fact that I thought we was doing okay climbing the table now, and they've done even better, shows how well that they have come on.
Yeah, they have. Manager seems all right. I think it's when you're more average players out of your squad tends to just go up a level, and that's sometimes where you get your manager bounce from, just from that sort of thing. So where they are, I mean, it's one win. It's one win where we could have won away against Bournemouth, for example. They have done that, or they've got a good result away at Bournemouth. But you've also got those teams, United, Spurs, who you would expect to have pulled away, haven't pulled away. So we're in a kind of good mismatch, really. It's nice to have I'm actually looking now at West Ham's result, Spurs result, United result, the Palace result, more so than Leicester and Ipswich. I'm keeping half an eye because we're Evertonians, and it would be weird if we weren't looking below us. But it's nice to have a little pool of teams that we're sort of looking at results to see whether, if we do get a point or whatever today, whether we do pop up one or two places, which would be great. It'd be good. More positive.
Nah, it is more positive, and it's really nice to hear David Moyes in the interview. They were saying to David Moyes, like, "Are you wary? Are you ready for the come down? Are you ready for things to change back to normal? Basically, like, are you it's not going to last. Thinking about you're not going to stay in this sort of form." And David Moyes was, "No, it's all been doom and gloom here. Like, let's just while we're on a high, let's keep thinking the high's going to stay." And I think that's been the problem sometimes. That the mentality has been that it's going to go back to crap. That's, in my opinion, that under Sean Dyche sometimes. And I put a couple of tweets on X, and I do believe the mentality was like, sometimes you're thinking about that it's not going to last more than thinking about that you can actually keep this good form. And that is the difference sometimes. And I said that generally mindset is everything in football. Like an example, I put it on X. I put if you wake up thinking you're going to have a crap day with that sort of attitude, often with that sort of attitude, that attitude brings you a crap day. That's how it works. So I think with the form we've got, we've won 3 really good results. Beat Spurs, didn't expect that. Beat Brighton, and we've had some cracking results. And the derby was a cracking game as well. So let's just be confident. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt you to be confident. I never get this. Oh, think the worst because when it happens, I'll be ready for it. No, just think the best. And if crap happens, have to deal with it. And then think good again to get your team back up. Never get that. But yeah, I am happy with this. I really have got my eyes set on Crystal Palace's 30 points now. And I'm pretty sure Henry will have his eyes set to get more points above and crack up the table. Henry, what do you think on this table?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite. I like it. I think it's exciting. I mean, I think you guys are probably definitely, I'd say, safe now. I think it's going to be one of the bottom 4, or 3 of the bottom 4 that go down, and it will be either probably Wolves or Leicester. I think you're right. It's kind of like there's now. I think after Brighton's win, there's a bit more of a gap between. It's kind of this pack of teams from 11th down to maybe where West Ham are, that are all kind of close, and then there's maybe a 6 or 7 point gap further up the table. So I think but I really liked what you were saying about Moyes and the mindset that he's brought in. I think we've had that under Glasner. I think where when we lose games, it's fine because for the majority of times we lose, we play quite well. And there's kind of the mentality kind of shocked us all going from Roy Hodgson to Ollie Glasner, is that, in Glasner's interviews, he's saying, well, no, like, we want to keep going. We want to win. There's no reason that he doesn't think Palace can't challenge for the FA Cup this season. There's no reason why he doesn't think Palace can't finish, higher than 10th. And it's really refreshing to hear as a Palace fan that's been so used to that kind of mid-table mediocrity, if you like. I think with him, he often has slow starts to the season as well. The year he won, he qualified for the Europa League with Frankfurt. He lost the first 7 games. The next season when they won the Europa League, he'd also lost the first 7 games of the domestic season. And so his sides tend to start slowly. We had a lot of players come in with no pre-season at all. And now we're really kicking on, like we lost twice in the last 10 or however many games, which is really impressive for Palace. And if we can just kind of continue to get a few results together, 3 points today would be massive, but we don't tend to do too well against Everton, home or away. Everton have kind of been a bit of a bogey team for Palace the whole time we've been in the Premier League. So I just think it's there's definitely opportunity for every team from 11th to kind of 17th or maybe 16th to kind of push on. And to, there's no reason why one of these kind of 4 or 5 teams can't finish with a Conference League place or Europa League place.
No, I do like what you're saying, and when I know Dyche is popping up a couple of times in this, but sometimes you do have to compare them both and compare what you felt like under Dyche and what you feel like under the new manager. And sometimes with Dyche, for me, in the press conferences, it felt like we're a bottom 3 team, we're a relegation team, and that's what we'll always be when I listen to him. This is where we're at, and that's what he'd say. This is where we're at. This is what happened before I come in, and this is where we're at, and I'm going to give you the hard truths and stuff like that. And it just felt like that's who we are now. We're always going to be a relegation team, and we got into that sort of stigma. And to me, it was really depressing me, actually. It really was, because I knew we had some players that was capable of having us mid-table easy, and Dyche kept putting on me that we are there and we're supposed to be there, and he's doing a really good job keeping us up. And I felt we could be more than that. We really couldn't. The moment David Moyes come in, And a lot of us wasn't sure on David Moyes, but he just, in the press conference straight away, he was like, I'm going to get Everton back to what they was when I had them. And he goes, they've let themselves go here, but I am going to get them back. And he was not accepting that he's not going to get them back. He said, it's going to be hard work, but I am generally going to get them back. And that just gave me like, oh, thank God we're in the hands of someone that can get us away and not take us away from that relegation team. And David Moyes is straight away. He really has pushed to get us back. And a lot of us probably would have said David Moyes in till the end of the season, then get a new owner in the new stadium. But I tell you something, David Moyes looks like he's a man with a plan at the minute. And what he's saying and what he wants to do, I can see it and I can feel it. And I'm thinking to myself, do we need to get a new manager? Because I think David Moyes is going to really push us into that, like with a transfer window next season, a Europa League spot. And then that's where we're at the minute. So, yeah, I am really, really happy with David Moyes at the minute. He's just making me feel like we're better. He's making the players feel like they're better as well. He hasn't got that low bar. Even if David Moyes thinks the standard of the players ain't that good, he's still setting the bar really high. And that's what I've been asking for. Push the players to the absolute best they can be pushed to.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen exactly the same with Glasner in terms of, players like Will Hughes has just been revolutionised. He was always a good young player, but he's now one of the most important players in our team. Every part of his game has improved. Players like Jordan Ayew last season, every part of his game improved. Players like Ismaila Sarr, who kind of had that, good spell at Watford, kind of lived off the back of that hat-trick against Liverpool for a while, went out to Marseille, didn't do too well. He's come in, long-term target for the club, and he's just been absolutely incredible. So I think, it is, and it also getting the fans on side, and especially at a club like Everton, where I do think the fans play a massive part in how the team plays. I think, getting the fans on side, I don't think you would have got the result you did against Liverpool with Dyche in charge. I think that, Moyes coming in, and obviously he's a top manager. He's won Europa Conference League, wasn't it, with West Ham. So, he's a top manager. He's come in. He's basically said to you fans, no, you know what, we're Everton. We're better than just trying to stay up and survive. And I'm going to prove that. And like you said, the players have bought in, and then the fans get on side, and then the atmosphere at Goodison's incredible, and it really drives the team on. It's just all really positive things. I'd be excited as an Everton fan.
No, I really am. Right, so we are going to crack on. Your favourite part of the show, people, is lineup predictions. So first of all, we're going to start with Henry's lineup prediction. I'll put it on the screen. He'll give a little say on it. Then me and Paul will do a joint lineup prediction, and we'll read your lineup predictions, what you want today, in the comments. And then we finish with score prediction. So that's what we're going to do. So I've typed it up. Whether I've typed it up right or wrong, you never know, do you? But Henry did send me something. So let's see if I can find it. Here we go. It should be on the screen now, people. So let's have a look, see what we've got here. Your back line really confuses me now, to be fair, with your wing backs. And I don't even know where some of these players, Munoz or Lacarux or Richard, plays, but I presume I've got it right here.
Yeah, you're not far. So Lacroix plays central, Gay left, and then it will be Richard's right, Munoz right wing back. But I mean, that is probably bar Chet Doucouré, who's out injured for the rest of the season now. That's our strongest team. Sorry, go on.
Where's that on the defence? Tell me again.
So Lacroix will be central, where Gay is. Gay will be left centre back, where Munoz is. Richards will drop into right centre back, and then it will be Munoz right wing back.
Oh, so it's more like that you go in, yeah.
Yeah,
I get it.
So it's kind of a back five when we're defending, back three when we're going forward.
So, talk to me on this then, Henry. I mean, you mentioned I remember him at Derby, to be fair. I watched him quite a bit at Derby. Really good player, actually. I knew he was good, quite technical. He was always Derby's best prospect when he was there, but he come to you and he was quite injury prone, wasn't he? But it seems you're getting the best out of him with a player at the side of him that's got a lot of technical ability as well. Obviously, the England cat, Warrington. So you're decent in the middle, ain't you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that this is, to be honest, our best lineup. Like I was saying earlier, obviously Sarr and Eze were out of the Doncaster game with knocks, but they're apparently back. If they're fit enough to play, they'll be starting. That's how Glasner operates. He'll play his best team, and if he needs to withdraw players later on in the game, he will. I think what you'll notice today is that Munoz plays a very key role in how we go forward. You might have seen the assist he got at Old Trafford for Mateta's second goal. He's always the player breaking the lines. I think you Blues will be watching him and wondering how he's not, dead on his legs, the amount he runs. Wharton and Hughes especially, that double pivot is really key. The long passing through to players like Sarr and Eze. And yeah, we go for a kind of fast counter-attacking style of play. And I think, it has worked really well. When you've got a focal point like Mateta, it's been ideal for us. And I think Mateta versus Beto this evening is going to be very entertaining.
Yeah, it's going to be a big battle. It really is. Two really big centre forwards. So Sarr and Eze, I mean, when I was writing this up, I know Mateta, he's going to be a battle for Tarkowski and Branthwaite. Of course he is. We know what he's like. And Chris, we've had some feisty games, to be fair, Crystal Palace and Everton. I remember a lot of grabs around the throats with Tarkowski and a lot of good tackles against you. So it normally is quite a competitive, feisty game, especially with our centre-backs quite big and Mateta trying to ruffle them up. Sarr and Eze, really. I remember Eze coming up against us. I can't remember which game it was, but he was like bloody Lionel Messi. We couldn't tackle him for crap. He was running. Best game I've ever seen him play. You just couldn't touch him. You couldn't tackle him. I'm hoping he's not on that sort of vibe this game because he was cracking. Paul, talk to me on this then. What would you say, Paul, looking at this, and I'll let Henry defend it. What would you say is a weakness that we should get on? And what would you say is something that you're scared of, Paul?
Like Henry says, I think they probably have defended similar to us, that halfway line, and then as soon as they do win the ball, they break, and they've got lads who are faster than generally people that we've got, Sarr and Eze. Mateta's obviously strong up front. I think it's the shape that they do, which I don't think they've always sort of done a 3-5, a 3 or a 5. I think it's usually been 4s in the past from what I've sort of look at from previous games, but they seem solid. They've got players in there who like a tackle. Wharton's obviously great. Excuse me. Wharton's obviously great, good on the ball. Can see it pass. Maybe similar to James Garner in that respect. Hughes is probably more of a Garner Gay type player who can win the ball back for you and start things. But they've got some decent centre backs. Gay's quality. He's their equivalent of Jared Branthwaite, really. So there's lots of sorry. There's lots of. Let me get rid of that. Someone's complaining that they can't see me. It makes a change. There you go. Thanks, Peter. So they're similar to us in lots of ways. I think that's to be got at. I think they're the same as us. That's to be got at. If you're talking sort of about Munoz, is it on that right hand side? If he's attacking,
sorted it, people.
It's a bit of a shame that we've not got Njai because he would probably keep him occupied. He would keep him occupied. Really, I think Munoz would probably be more concerned with Njai than actually going forward. So it's a little bit of a shame that we've lost Njai for that. Potential replacement would be someone like Harrison. I don't think he would be as bothered about Harrison getting the ball as much, so he could be a danger for us. Mikolenko's certainly got to be on it and be supported as well, because he'll have to put up with Sarr probably on that side as well. So we're very similar. I just think set pieces is often usually a thing both sides will probably go for. They both got tall fellas. Gay's good on the set piece as well. He'd be their kind of Tarkowski target, if you like. But I always think that if you can get the ball in front of Beto, he'll cause bloody problems in whether he means to or not, just because he's rough and tumble and everything else. So I don't think the centre backs are going to like that. My worry is that he would be isolated because they've got that 3 at the back. We've got to make sure that we push up high enough to be able to support him. So I mean, last season Last season at their place was 0-0. The way you kind of look at it, you wonder whether it's going to be similar again.
No, they are solid. They found that formation at the back, and I've finally done it right, people. I told you it confused me, didn't I? But I've done it there, so that I think that's roundabout more what it is. Because I know Munoz that you said. I've watched him, and he does have a lot of shots. He's like a winger, and he's dangerous down that side, and he is decent. So I knew he did play there. What would you, Henry? Before we move on to us, what are you looking to hurt us with, and what is there a weakness there? Would you say?
Yeah, I think the weakness. I mean, Richards had a really good game against Doncaster, but that is against Doncaster. He can be poor on the ball. I think that a lot of the time he's saved by Lacroix's pace. I mean, he's one of the fastest players I've seen, and he's a centre half, for God's sake. It's insane. I think that set pieces we've been getting really good at. We've actually seemed to have some actual set piece plans. Eze's kind of developed this sort of pitching wedge deep free kick that he kind of chips in just beyond the penalty spot, which has punished teams like Leicester and Man United. I think the biggest threat for us is, if you can get Sarr and Mateta linking up, especially, they kind of, as they drops in a little bit deeper, and Sarr and Mateta kind of become a two up front. And if you get them linking up, they've both been so clinical this season, Mateta especially. And I think Sarr's way to pass. Mateta will try and play on the last man, and if he can get him behind, he takes some stopping because he's gangly and he throws his limbs around. But weaknesses for us, I'd say probably. I mean, luckily, like we discussed, you don't have Njai because I think he would have had a good time against Richards. But I would say that kind of right-hand side, just because Munoz can tend to get caught a little bit too high. He does normally make it back in time, but if he doesn't, you're kind of then in a 1v1 against Richards, and he's one of those defenders where if you turn him, he's not going to get back, and he's not quick enough at all.
No, really interesting. I might give David Moyes a quick call and make sure we attack you down that side. I have got contacts, Moisey. I'll get Harrison to step it up. And Jai out is gutting. I'm not going to lie. And Jai, just to hear what you've just said, that probably is a weakness down that side. Not much of one, because like you say, it is strong as well when you do bomb it forward. But obviously, when you bomb it forward, sometimes you risk being exposed down that side and caught out. So, and Jai, for me, it's gutting that he is. And Jai, we love him because Jai's like Eze, basically. He's a dribbler, he's a baller, doesn't lose the ball, draws players in, off your seat, excited. The footballer that we all love and Jai is for us. I'm gutted, and he's going to be out for quite a while. So, but we have to crack on, and we have to trust Harrison at the end of the day. It was up and down whether we was going to let Harrison go. A lot of Everton fans probably wanted him to go because he just wasn't doing it. He played in the cup game, I think it was. And he looked decent for the first time ever. And I'm behind a player as long as they try and look decent. I'm not. If he's not doing well, I'll call him out. And Harrison looked decent that game. And when he come on in the derby, he looked decent as well. So I'm just hoping he pulls his socks up now under David Moyes, Harrison, and starts playing well, because he's never been the player that I thought he was at Leeds. I was excited when we first got him, and he wasn't. So let's do our lineup now then. Paul, I think let's just quickly do our lineup. People in the comments now, while we do our lineup, can you put your lineups in the comments and we'll read them out, and then we'll finish with score predictions. So get your lineups in. What lineup do you want today? Let us know. Get it in the comments and we'll give it a read out and we'll say what we think on your lineup. Me and Paul are going to do a joint one. We'll blast through it. Then we'll get yours on the screen. And then we'll finish with score predictions to see what we're all thinking on scores. So, Paul, Pickford in goals. I think we can agree with that.
I think we can.
We
I love that knee slide, by the way.
Henry's we had ready already, but ours, we do it joint. And me and Paul often have a fallout on joint. So we've got to try and agree on the bloody same lineup. Doing well so far. We agreed on Pickford.
Are we agreeing on Mykolenko?
Yeah, fantastic. And I love the celebration from Mykolenko, which I think you all would have seen in the derby, like smashing. And you know what? Mykolenko is one of the most quietest people ever, speaks hardly any English. You can tell he's shy. He's like a bloody Mr. Bean, really quiet personality. But love to see that passion in the derby that he had, and that just wins me over because he's been up and down and people have been onto him. And we know sometimes his crossing's not the best, although it was his cross that led to the goal. Let me point that out. I know he had a bad one that scuffed before that, but then he put it right after. So, yeah, Mykolenko, it's not...
Yeah.
He gets his doubters. He has his bad games and he gets called out for his bad games, but I don't mind if he comes back and does what he's doing now. Mykolenko, we're going to go Branthwaite. Branthwaite, by the way, he's just... The problem with Branthwaite is he's that good that you forget to credit him. For me, like we've become used to it now with Branthwaite, but you still forget he's that young lad that we brought for like 1 million that's still got loads of progression to do. But you think of Branthwaite and you think he's like a 30-year-old captain that's your most reliable, experienced player ever, and he really was good last game. He really was good in the derby. What do you think of Branthwaite, Henry?
I think he's superb. I think him and Gay, I think they're very similar in terms of what you just mentioned about you kind of forget to praise them because they're always so good. But I think they're the kind of player that if they went to a bigger club with a bigger fan base, you'd never bloody hear the end of it. I think that partnership going forward for England is going to be absolutely outrageous. I think you've got kind of the kind of nimble, technical ball playing centre back in Gay, and then you've got Branthwaite, who I think is just an absolute Rolls Royce. I'm very jealous that you guys have Jared Branthwaite. He's brilliant.
That would be a really good combination. That's why I always was with Southgate. Like, why don't you just grow some bollocks and play like Gay and Branthwaite? Because that would be
because it was always one or the other, wasn't it? Throughout the kind of the leading up to the Euros, now it was always it's going to be one or the other instead of it's going to be both. But I think both would be really, really strong together.
I think that's the thing. When you go Maguire and you go someone else, it's predictable. But if you went for two youngies that was absolutely on fire, because Warrington was another one that wasn't sure on taking him, but he's one of the best players for England. So just these young players, you often think it's a risk, but it really isn't. They do step up. O'Brien, we've got right back. We've talked on him quite a bit. I'm looking forward to him against Crystal Palace. I always like to see a player against one of their old teams because if it was me personally, I'd want to... He doesn't need to prove himself because Crystal Palace fans, as you said, respect him a lot and knew he was a decent player. But you just want to play well against one of your old clubs and show yourself to say, I'm doing well. This is what I am. So I hope O'Brien does well. In the centre, Paul, what are we going for? Are we going for Garner, Gay and James Garner? I don't think we can change that, can we, unless we play James Garner on the wing?
I think it comes down to who we've got available and whether he wants to rest anyone from midweek because we've got a lot of games coming up. So may potentially want to give Tim a start. He might play Tim where Decore was. So, but I'm quite happy to keep the two same lads. Garnegate tends to do quite well against Palace. I remember him scoring the winner in a 3-2. So he might fancy playing anyway. I'd be surprised if either of them wanted a rest. I doubt they would. So we probably end up with the same upbeat kind of team further forward, I think.
You know what though? I just thought about it now. There is an option where you could. Basically, we're struggling now because we haven't got a lot of wingers. We've only now got Lindstrom and we've got Lindstrom and Harrison. Sorry, because Njai's injured. That's the only two wingers we've got now, isn't it? Because McNeil's out as well. So we've literally just got Lindstrom and Harrison. And a lot of fans, like I say, Harrison's been okay, but are not keen on Harrison. An option that you could do, and I'm not saying that we'll do it, but you could move Irabunum in the 10, which is his position, and you could actually play Alcaraz on the wing, which I know is a bit wild, but I do believe he played out wide a little bit last time. Alcaraz could do a job on the wing. You might even see Tim Irabunum play on the wing if we're really short of wingers. We've got to find a way. Paul, what are we going for?
I think Alcaraz can play anywhere. But it's where you want to utilise him most, really. What I thought, it wasn't really mentioned. brought Ashley Young on, who played the ball long across the pitch. So there was those sort of movements that show that different positions. I think what's good is that when you sort of see his highlights reel when he was playing for Southampton, almost all of his were attacking. So we're quite happy for him to be in that 10. But he could also play either of those roles that Garner and Garner play themselves. So I think we might be forced maybe to have Alcaraz on the wing. He might even have Alcaraz on the bench, to be honest, and play Lindstrom and Harrison as the two wingers. That way, you see what happens in the game, and then Alcaraz can come on depending on who's got a booking, who's injured, who's this, that, and the other, because he's the most versatile players that we've got at the moment. So I'd probably say that Harrison's going to have a go on the left. And then I reckon Lindstrom would have a go on the right. And I think you might well have Irabunum in the number 10.
See, this is where me and Paul have a fight right now, because I'm so Alcaraz against Crystal Palace. I think it could be a shithouse. I think Alcaraz in the number 10. Although I do love Irabunum, and I do think that if James Garner and Garner Gay are feeling any sort of strain, Irabunum, like you said, I think he's going to be straight in there, isn't he? But I do like Irabunum in the 10 as well. That's why I suggested Alcaraz maybe a little bit out wide if the fullbacks are bombing forward. Are we going with you then? Are we going with Irabunum in the Temple?
No. I'm quite happy for us to go with Alcaraz in the 10. I just think it might be, if you're looking at the game overall, Moyes might see Alcaraz as that saviour in the last sort of 20 minutes, half hour. So I'm quite happy to put Alcaraz in the 10 because it might well happen. And Tim would be the one who could sort of step into different places.
Yeah, we'll go Alcaraz and just to make me happy because I've got my Alcaraz song and my new Alcaraz song. We'll go Alcaraz. But I don't mind Irabunum there as well. And I completely understand Irabunum because the thing is, Alcaraz is probably more attacking. Although I think Alcaraz is a cracking player, by the way. But Irabunum is more of a Decore player that does play in the middle as like Decore and can cover the middle more if you're scared of Saar and Eze and their attacking players. What do you think? We're really happy with Alcaraz, out of the blue, Flamingo Henry, one of Southampton's best players, live wire. What do you think on him, Henry?
Yeah, I think he's a top player. I think he adds a lot to your team as well. So I think that's one of you kind of. I like what you said about him being a bit of a shithouse. I think that he's the kind of player that up against someone like Will Hughes, that would be a nice battle to see. So I think that would that would definitely be kind of like they keep going back and forth with big tackles because I think Hughes a bit like that. If either him or one of our team get hit hard, he'll go in and make a point to hit him harder. So I think that could be quite entertaining. But yeah, I think he's a top player, like you said. Southampton's probably best player where the season they got relegated, went and spent a bit of time in Brazil, and he's come back and he looks the bollocks, doesn't he?
All I think is that I feel like Njai is a player that can grab the game by the balls and just step up. And I think we need another big personality on that's just going to say, I've got something, I'm not scared of you. And I think Alcaraz could be that player. In the comments, it says Alcaraz will start because Tim Irabunum is not fully fit yet. Might be. But they could work the other way. Is he going to slowly blend Alcaraz in? Really interesting to see what happens with that. And that's been our big debate. We've got the big bull up top anyway. Let's put him in, Paul. Big bull. There's no option. We've only got one striker. He's just a unit. It's just funny, though, because when I watched us in the derby, Decore's running round. And for some reason, Beto's just charging around the whole of the pitch and he's stomping like a big horse in the freaking Grand National, just running around the pitch. Beto is absolute beast, isn't he? Beto the bull. Henry, what do you think of Beto? Because I always wanted him to get games. And the thing is, no disrespect to Calvert-Lewin, but he's got his name, hasn't he? He's capped for England, looks fancy, this, that, and the other, and always got first choice. So people would just Calvert-Lewin just because he's Calvert-Lewin. And Beto's come in, and he didn't really get first dibs at all. And he just needed games under his belt. And he's getting games under his belt now, and he's scored a brace. Scored against them in the Derby big game, and he is scoring. And you think to yourself, is he better than Calvert-Lewin?
Yeah, I think it's a similar situation to what we had with Mateta at Palace. With he wasn't particularly great when he first came in. Didn't play too many games because we had other options. We had Edouard at the time, and now he's almost the first name on the team sheet every week because he's just brilliant. I think the more game time you give a player like Beto, the more goals he's going to score, the more chances he'll be given. I think it's really important as well. Really underrated point about that is kind of gelling in with the rest of your teammates, and if you can get him in the side starting week in, week out, he's going to get more chances. He's going to score more goals. I mean, it's just going to happen like that. I think he's a good player. I mean, he probably when it comes to my prediction, you guys are getting at least one goal, and I think it would probably come through him.
Well, we are not far away from that, people. So that is our lineup. That's mine and Paul's joint lineup. We had a little bit of tiff on the 10, but it's always going to happen because Paul thinks he knows more about football than me, and I definitely think I know more about football than him, so it's always going to happen. So that is our lineup. Let's get your lineups on the screen, and then we'll finish with the Henry's already wanting it, the score prediction, people. I don't blame him. I'm ready for it today. So let's just remove that off the screen. That is our lineup prediction. I like it. I'm ready. What lineups have we got, Paul?
Don't have too many because we're a little bit quieter today. Just trying to find any. They're generally saying the same as we are. To be fair, really, because we don't have that many players. That's the main thing.
Yeah, I think.
Like Phil said, we've only got let's say 13. Yeah, maybe. Chances are we could have 5 goalkeepers on the bench today. Because we're really struggling. Just the injury list itself. I mean, just having a little look on here, I'll throw that up. That's our current list of players, and where we are in terms of who's injured and who's not.
Mad, isn't it?
So no NGI, no Decore, no DCL, Mangala, McNeil, Patterson, Brozier, Coleman. Armstrong's out on loan. Someone called Mason Holgate's out on loan as well, apparently. So that leaves us with those.
Do you know what though, Paul?
Players,
really. I'm not gonna be honest here. That isn't a lot of injuries. I've been watching teams this season with a lot of injuries. Everyone's got injuries. Like, everyone's had injuries all season. And I've been thinking to myself when we've had players fit, I've been thinking we need to do well whilst we have got loads of options and players fit, because we have been lucky where we've had Calvert-Lewin fit, Beto fit. We've had a lot of options in the middle. And Jai, Lindstrom and Harrison, 3 wingers fully fit. And defenders as well have been quite fit as well. So I've been thinking, like, we're doing okay on injuries, and I knew that this moment was going to come. I knew, and I think more so the reason it looks so bad is because we just haven't got a big squad. We know transfer window we couldn't spend much, and I think it looks bad because we haven't got a big squad. We've got probably one of the smallest squads in the Premier League because we've had to cut down on spending. And I think that's the big reason. If you've got it's just not a big squad. If you've got a bigger squad, you've got no problems on injuries there, because you do get that many injuries during the season. So we've just got to pull together, grind through this patch. And as David Moyes says, like, just wait for the players to come back and get stronger. I always think if you can do well whilst you've got these injuries and just battle through, you get more confident when your players start to come back in then. And then they come in and you think, oh, we've done well with a weakened squad. Now we had this, we're even better. And it really sets us up to have a cracking end to the season. So I am looking forward to that. Right, so we are at the best part of the show, people. Do get involved in this. It is score prediction time, people. Interested in what Henry's going to say. He already gave a little sneaky peek on what he's going to give, but we don't know what the scoreline's going to be. He just mentioned a bit of Beto. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go Paul first, then we're going to go Henry's score prediction, then we're going to go mine, and we'll put yours on the screen, people, and finish the show. I'm getting ready for this now. It's a cracking game. We just talked about personalities. Like, is Alcaraz going to play? What's he going to be like against Crystal Palace? Mateta, is he going to be a shithouse to our centre-backs again? Eze, is he going to be on fire and unstoppable, or are we going to be able to stop him? There's a lot of stuff that's interesting in this game. So score prediction could be interesting as well, or it could be a boring 0-0. Let's do this, people. Paul, what have you got for me?
I'm going to go a bit more sensible today. I think Wednesday might have taken, was really emotional, might have taken a little bit out of us. We're missing a couple of good players as well. But I think we're still pretty solid. I think our defence is, that's key, really. So I think we'll score. We might lose one. So I'm going for a 1-1. I think we'll get 1-1 today. And that's not by any means a bad result either, I think. A draw away against Palce, who are doing well. And we're quite happy with how we've performed over the last few weeks. So I'd probably go for a 1-1. I'd shout Alcaraz with a goal. Maybe a free kick. That'd be good. Someone for them. Yeah, probably Eze. Probably Eze, to be fair.
So that is Paul's prediction. 1-1. Didn't expect that. You know what I mean? Thought he was going to give it more lives than that. Right. Henry's. Paul, it's not sensible. Sometimes he does. Sometimes he does. Henry's score prediction. Really interested. What's he got for us?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Paul said. I think that, Wednesday's probably sucked a bit of emotion out of the side, maybe a bit of energy. Obviously, the injuries you picked up on the suspension as well to Doucouré. I would, if I had to, I have to give a prediction. So I'm going to say 2-1 Palace. I just think that we might have a little bit too much in the forward positions for you to handle. I think Sarr versus Mykolenko could be a bit of a, Sarr has the potential to just run rings around him. But then at the same time, you guys do have a solid core. So I think I'll go 2-1. I think Beto for you guys. And then I'm going to go with Mateta and Sarr.
That is a score prediction from Henry. He's gone for the win. Don't blame me either. Of course he would. I'm disappointed if he didn't. My score prediction. I always do it on the spot, so I was literally thinking whilst he was saying this then. I don't like to be organised and say it before. My score prediction I'm going to go for is I'm going to go for Everton win. And this is no disrespect to just want this to Crystal Palace because I know how well they're doing and how good they are. I'm going to go Everton win 4-1. I've done 4-1 to give myself plenty of room for goal scorers because I've got that many goal scorers in my head. I've had to give myself 4 because I've just started thinking in my head, I can't not do him score. I can't not do him score. So I've given myself plenty of room to do plenty of Everton goal scorers. And she probably thinks I'm going to go Tarky again. You know what I mean? Right. So my goal scorers are, I liked in the comments, I've seen it. We'll put it on the screen. O'Brien against Thingy. I mentioned it. Crystal Palace. O'Brien header. I think we could do set pieces could be massive. And I know you have got some big players at the back, but O'Brien, he's on Weetabix 10 times a day, I think. So O'Brien, I'm going to go Tarkowski again, just because I was thinking Tarkowski. I just think because of what happened in the derby, in my head, I've got to go 2 centre-backs. O'Brien, Tarkowski. You know what? Alcaraz, I feel, will get involved in this. So 2 centre-backs, which is mad. Alcaraz, and then I've got to go big Beto. I'd love to give Beto all 4, but I just got to share. They're my goal scorers. So Beto, Alcaraz, Tarkowski, and O'Brien.
I think you should chuck
For
a
you,
on that, mate.
Eze. Yeah, I know. It'd be far from minted, wouldn't it? Get an house. Get a mansion with that, if I got that right. 2 centre-backs. Imagine the odds on 2 centre-backs. Bloody hell. Tarky and I feel really bad that I didn't give Branthwaite the goal as well because Branthwaite scored in the derby and it was disallowed. So I actually feel bad that I've not given Branthwaite one. I should go 5-1. Yeah, I should, but I'm not going to take the piss out of you, Henry, because I know you're a decent team. So 4-1, but I know it's going to be hard. I was going to say 2-1, but 4-1. What have we got, Paul? What have we got?
Yeah, we've got a few, yeah. Paul reckons, well, he'd say he'd take a draw, but he thinks we'll nick it 1-0. Beto, why not?
Like it, Paul.
Hakon actually mentions that if we win, West Ham win, draw between Spurs and Man U tomorrow. We'll be 1 point behind 11th. We weren't looking at that. Possibly one.
Do you know what though?
ago.
I'm like you said, Paul. I'm not looking, but now we've caught up with teams that are just like 3 points of. I am really locked on to push up that table now. I really am. I'm looking at Crystal Palace and I'm seeing 3 points could get us where they are, and they're in a good position. Then all of a sudden you look and 3 points again can get you climb a place. 3 points again can climb your place. And before you know it, you could have the shittest season ever and be finding yourself top half of the table, Europa League chance. And I know that's mad to say, but it is possible with how bad everyone's playing this season. You've got to do it, honestly.
And Palace's away form, fair play to them. That's why they are that top of that little group that we're at the bottom of. So Chris reckons that we're going to get 2-1 today. He's going with Beto and Alcaraz. So that sounds good. Booter reckons we'll go for a 1-1.
A lot of respect for Crystal Palace here, to be fair, and rightly so, because we've got a few injuries and they have got a strong team. I do get it.
Yeah, dead right. Clark, he's on. He says 2-1 for us. Beto and O'Brien. Very good.
O'Brien's on it, yeah.
A lot more love for Beto nowadays, which is nice. Wormy's on. He reckons 2-1 as well. Not said his goal scorers, so he must mean Beto again.
Wormy, get your goal scorers in now, Wormy. We like your goal scorers, Wormy. I'll be disappointed if you don't put them in. Get your goal scorers in right now, Wormy, before we finish.
And Harkon reckons we'll grab it 1-0. Lindstrom's first goal. Hey, why not?
Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? First goal scorer. Wormy went simple then straight in. Alcaraz times 2, didn't he? Cheers, Wormy.
There you go. So yeah, all positive. All positive at the moment, so it sounds good. Oh, yeah. Rod reckons that we're due one of these 5-0 Beto hat-trick Lindstrom and Brian games.
I am so game for that.
I'm just looking at Henry. I'm just looking at Henry's face when I say that.
Oh no, he laughed at mine. And the smile that he put on his face in mine because he's setting. I knew I'd set myself up for it if they beat us. Him to say, "Freaking hell, what was you on to get completely ripped?" But it was more. There was no, like I say, no disrespect. I know how good they are. It's just what you want sometimes, isn't it? It'd be nice to have a smashing game. So that is all the comments in. Thanks everyone for listening. We normally do the show the night before. Henry, we've had him on. Bless him, whilst he's walking to work, dedication that is. He knows his football. We'll try and get him on again because trust me, when he doesn't get his blurs and you get him sitting down and stuff like that, he knows his stuff and he's a cracking speaker, as you probably could have heard from listening to him on the show. Henry, thanks for coming on. I have put his Twitter name underneath in the description, so if you want to find him, he knows a lot of football. It's not just about Crystal Palace. Thanks for coming on, Henry.
No, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me. And yeah, sorry about the connection, but it'll be good to have a chat at some point in the future when I'm sat down at my desk. But yeah, really appreciate it, and I've had a good time. So, other than listening to that wild prediction, I'm very excited for tonight. So yeah, good. The last thing I'll say
clip that. You don't know if it happens. We'll clip this.
Yeah, and then if it's the reverse, then I'll clip it up as well. Don't worry.
I know. I do like to crop them and put them on a short if I've got anything right. So if the prediction's right, I'm definitely. To be fair, I probably should put £1 on that now because I'm sure it'd be 1,000,000 to 1 with my goal scorers. But yeah, it's going to be a good game, and I went big on my prediction, but in my head I was thinking it's going to be 1 goal that wins it, and it's going to be a tight game. It really is. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. These pre-matches get me excited, and the good thing is when we do these pre-matches, people, we normally do it the night before, and you can't sleep because you're that excited for the game the next day. But we have done it on the day, so it's not an early kickoff. Gutting. It'd be nice if it was free. You wouldn't have long to wait, but it is a later kickoff. But I'm really excited for it. I can't wait to do it. It's a massive game because it's 2 teams that have got themselves in a position on the table where they can really crack on now. It's going to be interesting to see who takes that opportunity and cracks on. Right, absolutely. Paul, finish the show with your last magic words, and I'll drop the banner.
No, looking forward to it. Everyone's in a positive mood. Wednesday was amazing. We're back to normality, really. We just got another game to enjoy. It's a different kind of game, but everyone's happy pretty much with everything we've got. Go on.
I was just gonna say why you put up there. Just like I haven't spoken much about the derby, but oh my god, it has been so funny watching the meltdown of the Copites, mate. Honestly, like I even read one thing on X that said Decore will pretend to be injured in the next derby because he'll be too scared to play at the next derby, and I was like, oh my days, do you really think Decore is scared of all you lot? And there was just so much funny stuff. The referee is so corrupt, but yet Bradley should have got 2 yellow cards and got a red before that. And Brantwaite's goal, the handball wasn't given on their centre back. But they're like, the thing is, they get everything. They are so like they think everything should be given to them. They are so like it's crazy.
Well,
entitled. That's the word. Entitled. They are so entitled, like they really do think that they're God's gift. They invented football and everything because they always get last-minute winners. They always get extra added time. We've seen it loads, and they always get penalties. And we say referees are always on the side, and they're the luckiest team ever. And then one time it doesn't go for them, they really do kick off, and it's really funny to be fair. And apparently Everton shouldn't celebrate a draw. Another one, we shouldn't celebrate a late 98th minute draw. Shouldn't be celebrating a draw.
That there, I followed the Palace lad who's HLTCO, and he said if you can't lose your head after your captain lashes in a 98th minute equaliser on the volley against your tabletop city rivals to ensure the last derby, 133-year-old stadium, we might as well all pack it in and pick a different sport. And he just summed up basically what it was about and why we were excited. And you know what? The complete mood hoovers, they always do that with anybody. So I've seen it and laughed at it, but it doesn't even really register because we loved it, and we'll continue to love it and bring it up from time to time. So
big smile. Like we played you, we beat you 2-0. We played you again with loads of injuries, and you couldn't beat us again. We drew 2-2. So we move on, and we play a better team than the Shite. We play Crystal Palace, who I haven't got a big grudge against, to be fair. So it's going to be a cracking game. Right, I am going to drop that banner, everyone. Once again, thanks, Henry, for coming on. Let's get ready for the game, people. Big game today. Everton versus Crystal Palace. Everton!